Hello and welcome back to my channel. I'm really pleased to say that I stayed to group today. It's been weeks that I've been popping in and getting weighed. As I've said on my other videos, I'm in a good place, so that wasn't a problem. But I feel I've benefited so much from staying this morning. I didn't go to my, I don't know if you can hear the wind out there, it's blowing a hoolie. I didn't go to my normal group, I went to the early group, and it's a big group and it's buzzing with like enthusiasm and motivation. I really enjoyed it. It's quite like being the new girl this morning, because you go in there and remember I'm totally blind, so it's not like I can go in and make eye contact with people and smile and greet people and whatever. I knew very few people who were there this morning, but Joe went round with me and did the weigh-in bit, and then he found me a seat and sat next to another lady called Jane, who was very gracious, made me a cup of coffee, made me feel really welcome, and then I think she thought I was a newcomer, but we got chatting, and I found talking to her was really inspiring. So, £101 lost at that group this morning, which I think again, that's quite a lot of weight, isn't it? What's £101 in stones? About 7 stone 2? Something like that? No, I don't know. My maths is not that hot this morning, but it's still a lot of weight, because it might be 7 stone 3. That's the weight of a teenage child, isn't it? In one group, just gone. Hopefully not to return. But yeah, it was a good group. A lot of people were talking about yo-yoing, and that they find, whether they're on their weight loss journey or they're at target, that they're struggling with losing a bit, gaining a bit, losing a bit, gaining a bit. We talked about like getting fired up to actually be consistent, and I think that was the key this morning, that we all needed to hear, that it's about being consistent, because if you keep letting it slide, and as one lady said, I haven't been weighing and measuring my healthy extras, and I know I'm not doing it, and then when I come and get a slight gain, I'm disappointed. But it's down to us, isn't it, as individuals? It's how much do we want it, and none of us are perfect. Nobody is going to lose weight every week consistently and never have an unexpected gain or a deserved gain, and never have a maintain. Real life isn't like that. So yeah, it was a good group. Kelvin was telling us that the Millionaire's Shortbread Hi-Fi bars, in the 50 years of Slimming World, it's the best selling bar in the first week, and they're already on limited delivery. Whereas my consultant would usually have a massive delivery, they're limiting it to one box, which I think is that about 15 packs or something. So yeah, watch out. If you want Millionaire's Shortbread and they've got them in your meetings, buy them, because I think we're going to be without them for a while when they're sold out. Yeah, I've come back feeling quite like fired up, motivated and enthusiastic again. So I am so grateful that we were up at the crack of dawn this morning, and that Joe was kind enough to drop me off at group and then come back and get me after an hour and a half. I was really interested to hear my consultant say she gets up at 4:30 on a Saturday morning to do her 2 big back-to-back groups. That's commitment, and she really does go to the nth degree to make sure we all get what we need. It's fabulous. Right, not a lot to talk about this week really. I got a very nice comment, a very wise comment in my comments on last week's videos. A lady, and forgive me, I'm thinking Rosie, but I could be wrong, said to me in the comments, is it possibly the milk I'm getting addicted to? Because I was talking about how much milk I get through and how much coffee I drink. And I answered her back on the comment and said, I'm a coffee addict, I know I am. I absolutely love lots of different kind of coffee. I don't mean like cappuccinos and lattes and mochas and things like that, although I do like all of those things. But I mean lots of different coffees, as in Ethiopian, Nicaraguan, and Joe would probably remind me of some of the others, Veluto and stuff like that I drink. But actually, the comment gave me pause for thought and made me stop and think about it. And I thought, if somebody said to you, Jane, you've got to cut down on the milk, you've got to not restrict, but limit what you're having. You can't just keep pushing it and pushing it. I mean, I'm sinning it and everything, I'm on top of all that. But was I relying on it too much? So I made a conscious effort this week and actually have cut down to 1 litre of milk a day, which That for me is okay, because I can count it as healthy extras. I generally have 2 healthy extra A's, but I'll talk about that when I get to my results. I can sin it. I'm not exceeding anything. I'm within plan. And actually, yeah, it hasn't been hard to do that. It hasn't been hard to do what I chose to do this week. But it was a really good comment. And it showed me that sometimes a comment, if somebody observes something, it can make you address something. So while I don't think I have necessarily got a problem with the milk, I was being a bit, I think the word's greedy. I mean, that word often applies to me. I was being a bit greedy with it. And even though it's within plan, is it within moderation? Some people might say a litre of milk a day is not within moderation. It is for me. So I'm comfortable with that. But yeah, thank you for that comment. It really helped me this week. I want to show you 1 or 2 food items that I've been enjoying this week. I said last week that I'd given up meat for Lent. That's not difficult. I'm not a big meat eater. Take it or leave it. But the funny thing is, I was sharing this with the lady who was also a Jane I sat with in a meeting this morning, and saying that before I came to Slimming World, I didn't really eat fish. If I had fish and chips from the chip shop, I used to eat the batter and leave the fish. If we were at the seaside, I might have had a little dish of prawns or something like that. But I would never have chosen fish over meat, or even chosen fish over a vegetarian meal. Yeah, so that is something. Mind you, I'm the girl who never used to eat fruit and veg, and now I absolutely adore it. But I never ever used to choose fish. And if we're eating in a restaurant, and we often used to eat out with our in-laws, and my father-in-law would always choose salmon. He loved salmon. And I used to think, I mean, we'd be in a posh restaurant, and I used to think, you know, there's fillet steak and there's this gorgeous lamb dish, and why would you choose fish? Why would you choose salmon? I mean, it's not even filling, is it? But it is. And that's something I've discovered. Actually, salmon is really filling because it's got some really good healthy oils in it. And that actually helps me on a daily. I've seen a lot of actuallys today, haven't I? But it does actually help me. It helps me when I have my lunch. I mean, I love poached salmon, but when I have my lunch, it actually is very satiating. And I would say for me, it's more satiating than most meat is, because it's got a good amount of healthy fat in it. I think after nearly 4 years on Slimming World, I'd be quite happy never to eat chicken and never to eat 5% minced beef again. As I say, I'm not a big meat eater. I have to really, really, really fancy those kind of things. And I don't very often fancy them today. There's nothing wrong with them, and if you enjoy them, that's fabulous. But for me, I think fish is going to be the way to go. I'm just talking to my consultanting group about a lovely Indian restaurant that she uses in the town where she lives. And she was saying about, you know, tandoori king prawns, tandoori salmon, tandoori, do you call it tapia? Is that the fish?
Tilapia.
Tilapia. And I thought tapia didn't sound right. Tilapia. I think for me these are the ways to go. Because if I go to an Indian restaurant with friends and I look at the menu, I don't want like dry chicken dishes with some dry rice, with some salad. That doesn't appeal to me. But fish does. And I haven't had tilapia for a long time. And the idea of tandoori salmon, really? Yeah, I think that floats my boat. And she'll have tandoori king prawns as a starter. You get 2 massive ones. That's my kind of food today. So what I'm going to share with you, 3 things that I've wanted this week. The first one is tinned crab. Now, we have a good fish market in the centre of the city, but we don't get in there very often. I like dressed crab, right? But I thought this week, well, you can buy a tin of crab or 2, and you've always got some on the shelf for a different choice. So can you show the tin of crab, Joe?
Yeah.
Tin crab isn't cheap. It's dearer than, it's not necessarily dearer than salmon, but £3 for a tin of crab. But I think nowadays, if I say the main part of my meal, so what would replace the meat, because I spend £3 on meat and not think about it, I don't think that's bad, and it's something I can keep in the pantry, and I do like crab. So yeah, that's one option for me this week. The second option, Argentinian shrimps. Now, I've shopped in Morrison's this week, and these Argentinian shrimps are also £3. It seems to be my lucky number because my poached salmon works out at £3 a piece. I bought these when I went shopping. Well, not this pack, I bought the previous pack when I went shopping last weekend. When it came to eating them, I had assumed they would be cooked because they were right next to the cold water prawns on the shelf in Morrison's. So I said to Joe, I think I'm going to have the shrimp today for my lunch. And Joe looked at it and he went, needs cooking. And I was like, thank God he was here, because I could have, well, not cooked it. I would have known as soon as I put it in my mouth, of course. But saute this in a frying pan, 8 to 10 minutes. Joe did mine with avocado oil spray, which is sin-free, the one I get from TK Maxx. You could use a teaspoon of any oil for 2 sims. I wouldn't use Fry Light because I think, well, enough, I've said enough in the past about Fry Light. I just don't think it would suit something as delicate as shrimp. They are really, really nice. I had them with jacket potato and vegetables and really, really enjoyed them. So I bought another pack, so I should be having them tomorrow. But for £3 for the main part of your main meal, I think that's fair enough. And then finally, I'm not one necessarily for having frozen vegetables in the house. We buy a lot of fresh veg. But with different circumstances that are coming up, I'm kind of preparing myself for different eventualities. One of the things we found in Morrison's again this week is this bag of frozen veg. What's it called, Joe?
Steam Fresh.
Steam Fresh.
Bird's Eye Steam Fresh.
Yeah. Bird's Eye Steam Fresh. In this bag you get 2 packs, 150 grams, and they're like a pyramid shaped pack, so it steams really nicely. It's Romanesco, peas and spinach. Now Romanesco, if you haven't had it, to me it's like a cross between cauliflower and broccoli. They call it Romanesco broccoli, but yeah. It's not as floury as the top of broccoli. It's more like a cauliflower texture. It's nice. It's worth trying. They're £1.75. You get 2 packs inside. But if you buy 2 packs for £3, it's better value. It says 3 minutes in the microwave. I'll confess I do mine for 4. I don't think 3 minutes is quite long enough in an 800-watt microwave because it was a bit too, do you say al dente? A bit too crunchy for me. But really, really nice. And something I commented to a friend on the plan the other week was, I think it's a good thing to eat things that are green. Get as much green into your diet that's not lettuce or they're light greens that you don't cook. Although Joe does some of those salad packs and actually wilts them, which are nice. But more weighty green veg, shall we say, like broccoli, like cauliflower, like Romanesco, like courgettes, like I eat a lot of sugar snaps. I eat a lot of kaleets, which start off purple, but if you steam them, they turn green. So, yeah, I was thinking this week, you know, if I had to say what is one of the most useful cooking implements on Slimming World, I would say my steamer. Purely because our steamer lives on top of our hob. We use it every day. And it's just so easy. Such an easy way to cook vegetables. So they're the 3 food things I bring to you from stuff I've been eating this week. I've eaten fish every day this week. I haven't missed meat at all. I feel good for it. Yeah, I can't say any more than that really on that topic. Now we get to the biggie. This is time for sincerity, honesty and no bullshitting. I'm going to tell you what I did last Saturday. I've been in 2 minds all week about how to say this because I don't want to send anybody off plan. I don't want to stand here talking about food stuffs that are going to make other people crave them. But I've got to tell it like it is because this is my journey. Last Saturday, I made a conscious choice, and it was my choice, I wasn't forced into it, to eat some chocolate. And it starts off in my head as, why can't I eat chocolate? Everybody else does. And I don't crave it anymore. So I know I wasn't choosing to eat chocolate because it was a craving. So I'm thinking, this is fine, this is in control, this is me deciding, you know? So I had an Easter egg that had been bought for me, which was a crunchy Easter egg, and it was a 12 quid one, so like in a box this big. That was fine. It's sitting on my desk. It's not doing any harm. I chose last Saturday to buy some Magnums, just the classic Magnum. Now the stupid thing is, what I wanted was almond chocolate one with almonds in it. I wanted the nuts. But when we called in Tesco, they didn't have any of those, so I bought the classics. Big mistake, number one mistake. That is not my favourite Magnum. It's not going to scratch the itch, it's not going to satisfy me. But I did it anyway. All conscious choices, conscious decisions. So, Saturday afternoon, I'm in on my own. Joe's at work. I'm a big girl, I'm responsible for myself, so I decide to have a Magnum. I know I can't stop at one Magnum. I know what I'm doing when I make these stupid decisions. My head thinks it's clever. I talk myself into it. I know I'm going to regret it. I know I'm going to be angry. I know I'm going to be, well, let's say pissed off with myself after I've done it. So why do I do it? Why do I let my brain rule my body? Because I'm human? Because I'm not perfect? I'm not making excuses. I chose to do it. I'm not going to blame the weather. I'm not going to say it's because it was windy. I'm not going to say it's because it was my sister-in-law's birthday and she died 18 months ago and oh, isn't that sad? I could make that excuse most days of the week for somebody. I could stand here and I could give you 10 excuses why I did it. But there aren't any excuses because it was a choice. And there are times when I make bad choices. So I decide to have a Magnum. So I'm thinking Magnums come in boxes of 3s, don't they? So I have my Magnum and then I'm sitting there and then I'm thinking, that didn't really do it for me. Perhaps I need another one. So I went back to get another one and discovered what I'd actually got was a box of 4. Oh, sod it, said I. Brought the box into the lounge and ate the other 3. And in all honesty, it didn't take me 15 minutes to eat all 4 of them in total. And you know what? They weren't even nice. And it didn't scratch the itch. And why have I got this amazing memory of how wonderful Magnums are? And they're just not. Not for me anymore. They're just not the kind of food I enjoy. So like a robot or automaton, 4 Magnums gone. And I think off the top of my head that's 44 sins. I could have stopped there. I could have said take the 44 sins off your weekly allowance of 105. You've still got 61 sins for 6 days. That gives you 10 sins a day. You're bang on plan. I could have done that, but I didn't. I thought, you know what? I've got that Easter egg, 12 quid Easter egg, and it was a crunchy one. I used to like crunchies. I'll have a bit. So I open it, it's got 3 crunchies with it. So I thought, well, eat them first and then I might not want the egg. But I ate the 3 crunchies, again, took me about 10 minutes. And then I started on the egg. And the egg was it Nestle's chocolate? Crunchy?
No, Cadbury.
Cadbury's. See, it was that good, I couldn't even taste what kind of chocolate it was. The egg was this massive egg and it had crunchy bits in the chocolate. So I start eating it. Now at this point, I am only about 40 minutes away from Joe having gone out to work. So in those 40 minutes, I had demolished, the best part of 3/4 of my week's sins. Then I start on the egg. And I was just breaking pieces off, putting it in my mouth, breaking pieces off, putting it in my mouth, watching YouTube videos, Slimming World ones at that. Somebody I great respect for. But I'm still breaking pieces off, putting it in my mouth, mindlessly doing it, not even tasting it. And I actually got to the stage where I'd got half this huge egg left. And I'm still only about an hour and 10 minutes away from Joe having gone out to work. And I thought to myself, you stupid bitch. I'm going to say that because I'm talking about myself. You stupid bitch, what are you doing? Oh, well, I've started now, might as well finish. No, you stop now. Not even thinking about damage limitation, not thinking about sins, not thinking about anything, just stop. Put the brakes on, quit, finish, end. because this is the road to nowhere. What is it? I'm on the road to nowhere. That's where I was. So what did I do? I broke up the rest of the thing, broke up the rest of the chocolate. I went into the bathroom and I flushed it down the toilet. And I'm going to tell you why I did that, because if I'd wrapped it up in the tin foil that the egg came in and thrown it in the kitchen bin, there was nobody here to stop me getting it out again and eating it. And I've done that before, and I'm being honest. And I'm sure I'm not the only one, other people have probably done it as well. If you haven't, be grateful. But I stopped. And I'm still less than an hour and a half away from Joe having gone to work, and it's still only lunchtime. And I've blown it. Or have I? I just said to myself, it's behind you. It's no good regretting it. It's no good beating yourself up. It's behind you. And however much we like to beat ourselves up, and I think over the years I've got great pleasure from beating myself up, it doesn't help me. I know that today. And if it's behind me, I can't change it. I can only change here and now. I can't even change what's in front of me, because I might make a decision now. I'm going to have this for my tea tonight. But when it gets to tea time and I can't be bothered to cook, or I'm tired or whatever, those decisions can change. So all I've honestly got, I always say I live in the day, and I do, I live in the day. All I've got is here and now. So the chocolate went down the toilet. I'm not sure what Severn Trent Water Authority would have thought of that, or the rats in the sewers or whatever, but it went down the toilet. Chocolate flushes nicely, by the way, if you ever need to do it. And I stopped. And I put it behind me, and I tried not to think about it again for the rest of the week. Because I thought all I can do is choose better from now on. So I went back to plan. I ate my proper meals for the rest of that day, and I've eaten bang on plan Sunday to this morning. Now, thinking about the milk issue and what the kind lady had contributed to my channel, I made a decision this week to have one A choice, one B choice, 15 sins. Now the reason I did that, and there is some logic buried in there somewhere, is because I wanted to have the milk, and I could have said to myself, right, you're allowed 2 A choices, have 2 A choices, 1 B choice, and then my head was thinking, well, my sins are going to be low, because I knew what I planned to eat through the weeks, done my shopping and everything. The one thing I won't do is come low on my sins, because I don't want to get into a position where I'm manipulating my sins to lose weight. That doesn't work for me, because I like the generosity of the plan that says, go on greedy guts, you can have 15 sins a day and you can still maintain a 13 stone weight loss. So I don't play with my sins. So rather than using 6 sins and say cancel those 6 sins out, so I was averaging 14.5 sins a day, rather than cancelling those sins out, going for 8 sins a day, 8.5 sins a day, and making it an extra A choice. End of the day, you've eaten the same stuff, but you can manipulate it that way. I stick to the 15 sins, or as near as I can to the 15 sins. Because if in my head I want to start saying, do you know what, I'm dead clever, I've only had an average of 6 sins a day this week. The state of my head, not yours, because my journey, my head is, if I've had 6 sins this week and I get to maintain, oh my God, what am I going to do next week? Have 3. I'm not mad. I'm insane when it comes to food and diet, because I've damaged myself so much over the years mentally. So stick to the sins. 1A, because it's optional, I keep being told, it's optional whether you have 1A or 2. 1A, 1B, up to 15 sins, so average 14.5 over those 6 days. Went to group this morning, got ready to go to group, put on my size 8 trousers, my size 10 top, and said to Joe, I think I'm in for a game. Now, my size 8 trousers have got a really deep, high waistband, and this is not my slimmest point. I don't have a waist, I'm very boy shape, I'm very up and down. But I put them on and I thought, they fit perfectly well, but am I a bit fleshy there? And you know your head rules, well my head rules, so my head said again. So I went to weigh in, stood in a long queue because it was a massive group, got to the scales, got onto the scales and lost a pound. Now I'm not going to say I think I was lucky. I'm not going to say I got away with eating all that chocolate. What I am going to say is I learned a really good lesson. I didn't enjoy the chocolate. Looking back, there were things I would rather have had, and the things I would rather have had would have all been savoury. So it was a good lesson to learn. It hasn't done me any damage. The rest of the week I have not craved sugar or chocolate. I'm fine. It was a stupid decision to make, but it was my decision, nobody else's. And I'm not saying I'll never do it again. I'm not perfect. And I'm not saying I got away with it and aren't I lucky and whatever. What I am saying is I stopped before I'd eaten it all. I got rid of it and then I went straight back onto plan, middle of the day. I didn't say, I've blown it all, it's only 1:45, I'll carry on eating, I can eat anything I want, you know, whatever, all the excuses I've made over the years. I took responsibility, I took ownership, it's nobody's fault but my own. Got back on plan and lost a pound. I can do that. I was 9 stone last week. Can you show my book this week, Joe?
Yeah.
To prove
I'm sorry,
that.
you're at like 26 minutes.
Yeah, I'm going to finish in a second. Is that clear in the camera?
Yep.
8 stone 13. I can lose a pound at that weight by sticking to plan. And I'm just grateful that I had a plan to go back to, not fall back on, but I had a plan to go back to, and it works for me. So I wanted to share that with you. I'm always honest on my channel. I'll never bullshit you. It's about honesty because that's what got me to where I am this week. So thanks for watching, thanks for your patience. We'll be back next week and we hope you all have a good week. Remember, it works if you work it, it won't if you don't. Cheers. Bye.